Hello, cosmic beings. Welcome to Being Cosmic. If this is your first time here, welcome, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. I am so glad that each and every one of you are here. My name is Devon, and I'll be doing a collective message today. So, with that, take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Alrighty, dokie. So, with that, let's get into the message. Okay. Alrighty. So, first of all, thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your support on the channel. The like, shares, comments, subscribes, and of course the donations all do help out. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, yes, and if you're interested in a personal reading from me, you can find that information in the description box below. Split. Okay. I was wondering. So when I split the deck to shuffle, I saw what was here and it feels like it's part of this message. So what we've got is we've got endurance, and it's the element of I don't really know if that's an element. It's rock. um so it's in endurance. Okay, so it's having endurance. And then there's to make equal. And it's the equator. So this is an elemental oracle deck. So it's alchemy, science, and magic. Okay, so there's something here. It's like you're being asked to have endurance in something and then to make something balance, like equal something out, balance something out, something of that nature. Um, oh, that's cool. This one's in color. Hey, not all, most guidebooks aren't in color. This one is. Okay. So this is finding balance in just in your life. Equality among people is a worthy goal. You are worth it. Do not compare yourself to others, as this is a useless task that only leads to unhappiness. There can be a happy medium. There doesn't have to be an extreme reaction all the time. Something that's coming through with this is it's actually, I don't know if it's right here. It's the Four Agreements. I think it's in that book. Oh, I've read a lot of books. I think it's in the Four Agreements. And I forgot his name. It's like a pretty popular book, but I'm pretty sure it's in there, but ultimately what it is it's this concept of like, don't compare yourself to anybody else except who you were yesterday. So you are different from everybody else around you at the human level because you've had different life experiences, you have different perspectives, you have different, you've got different programming that you've walked around with for life. You know what I mean? Like, and that's changed and so on and so forth. And part of this journey is deconstructing that programming and reprogramming yourself to, more of a limitless energy instead of limited and so on and so forth. But it's one of those things, it's like, it doesn't matter where somebody else is in life and so on and so forth. Like, don't compare your winter to somebody else's summer. It's that kind of concept, You can get inspired by other people, So you see somebody that has something you would like to have or has an experience you would like to have. You can be like, oh, I would like that. And then flip it and be like, okay, so, what am I being called to do to be able to obtain that thing? And then compare yourself with who you were in like your own progress, your own growth, but simultaneously not judging yourself for when you have an off day, for when you're, picking up on collective energies and it's wonky and you're just tired. And so, don't beat yourself up because today you're not doing as much as you did yesterday. So it's that thing of like take it easy on yourself. um is I guess ultimately the message coming through, and don't compare yourself to other people. It doesn't matter where anybody else is at on their journey. It's their own unique thing, and your job is to look at your own journey and decide where it is you want to go. And it takes a lot of pressure off when you start doing that because you're not trying to, keep up with this and keep up with that and do this thing and it needs to look this way and it needs to be done by your this age and so on and so forth. It removes all of that. And you're like, okay, I'm on my own journey. So what do I do from that standpoint? And then endurance. So there's a strength energy coming through here. It's also foundational energy is really kind of coming through. Oh, I was just thinking about this earlier. Okay, look for the groundedness in a chaotic situation. Be patient, slow and steady is the way to success. The obstacle is sometimes the way through. Do not be discouraged by slow progression as long as progression is being made. Okay, so yeah, I'm hearing slow and steady wins the race. And then I'm also the groundedness in a chaotic situation. This is something it's wow, we're getting into some kind of mastery level shit here, but what this is really reminding me of is like a lot of times we feel like our environment needs to be a certain way so that we can feel a certain way. So in order to feel peace, I need my environment to be peaceful. And the reverse is actually how you manifest it. Like a stable, long-term feeling of peace. So what you do is instead of needing your entire environment to reflect back peace, you start to find that inner peace in the middle of chaos, in the middle of bullshit, in the middle of, unhealthy dynamics and this and that and the other. You start to find that peace within, and with that, it's going to be a process. You're going to learn boundaries. You're going to do all these things. And then, there's healing and so on and so forth. And then what happens is once you can find that internal state of peace on a more regular basis, then your external reality will start to reflect to you peaceful situations in a more profound, long-term way. And so this is something where if you're like, okay, and it's a process. And there's sometimes, especially when you're going through ascensions and stuff like that, there's sometimes where you're like, I can't be in chaotic environments right now because it's fucking with my energy, basically, And so and that's part of it too, is like understanding, yes, there are certain times when you can go out into a chaotic kind of situation, or even like a huge social thing, like a concert or an event or something. And then, you're okay. And then there's sometimes, when you're cracked open and you're having light sensitivity and your ears are, every sound is going straight into your brain and it's just like oversensitive because your system is recalibrating. That's not the time to go to an event because it's going to be really intense and it's going to take your energetic system a while to kind of recoup from that. So there's kind of like yeah, but it's one of those things like if you're dealing with a lot of external stuff, and I'm not really getting that like your energy system is going through a huge ascension right now, and maybe for some of you it is. For most of you, what I'm getting is there's stuff going on just in life. Life is life, and then it's finding that groundedness in the midst of the storm. That's ultimately kind of the message coming through here, is like really finding that, yeah, it's that groundedness in the midst of the bullshit, in the midst of the chaos. And it's a tricky thing to do. And be kind to yourself because it's a learning process and you're not going to be able to do it every single time. There's sometimes when you're going to react. There's sometimes when you're going to be like, it is just is what it is. So be gentle with yourself and understand it's a process. And when you kind of, react or engage and you're like, damn it, just like take responsibility for it and like, dude, I fucked up, I engaged. It's on me. You don't have to tell anybody else that, but it's you taking accountability for your own, behavior, cleaning up your own side of the street, more or less. And then it's, just being like, okay, I engaged. What am I learning from that? What did that teach me? Okay, so, I didn't see that one coming because I didn't have my boundaries, they weren't reinforced at the time, or I kind of slacked on it, or whatever. It's always teaching you something. So if you look at it from that lens, it's a little bit easier to navigate as well because then you're looking at it as information instead of like beating yourself up over it and this and that and the other. It's like, what can I learn from this so that the next time I can be in an even, better energy compared to the energy that I was in this time. And sometimes it's just like, dude, I wasn't feeling good and I reacted. And so it is what it is, and then just give yourself a break. It's kind of, if you need to apologize, apologize. But, if it's just one of those, like, you engaged a little and it got a little wonky and then you're just like, ugh, it's all good. Well, we've got ignition and fire. I haven't used this deck in a really long time. So give me just a second. What's this one? Okay, it's talking about living your passions. Yeah, with fire. Okay. Allow your spirit to drive you forward. Don't overthink the situation. Now is the time to innovate and take action. Be a lighthouse for others or find yourself a mentor. Okay. So the main things I'm getting is like tapping into your passion and not overthinking it. So how does this all go together? Maybe for some of you, maybe your passion is bringing you, it's like, uh, you're going against the current, like the mainstream current, not the current of your own life where it's like a lot of resistance and you're fighting and all of that and you're going upstream more or less. It's the energy of like maybe you're being called to do something that's a little less accepted right now or a little bit out there or whatever it is. So that could be something that's going on where it's like you're being called in this direction, but then there's a part of you that's like, oh shit, I would have to actually come out and be viewed as somebody who's in that field and that field gets a lot of judgment or whatever. So it could be something like that that's going on where you're being called in a direction and then you're like, oh shit. There's a part of you that's like, yes, I really want to do that. That's my soul calling me. And then there's a part of you that's like, dude, the shit I'm gonna get for this. Like, it's kind of that energy. And so that could be what's going on here is like you're being called towards a passion right now. This is your soul calling you to something that you are passionate about. And then there's a sense of like balancing something out, not comparing yourself to others, that whole thing we already talked about. And then finding groundedness in the midst of chaos. That could be part of it. Maybe you're finding out how to be grounded in your life right now in the midst of whatever's going on so that when you fully level up and you start going towards your passions, if it's one of those, there's a lot of like, you know judgmental stuff when it comes to that thing that you're being called to. People are going to just like not completely be on board or something like that, but it's like you're going to be really satisfied and fulfilled doing this thing. That could be where you're kind of getting prepped right now, is finding that groundedness in the midst of chaos. It's kind of like prepping you for what this next thing is that you're being called towards. Yeah. Yup. Some of you could be going through an ascension right now because I'm seeing a Merkabah over here. So you'd be going through a light body activation, and that's when I was talking earlier, where like your senses are really, really they're just heightened. And so that is the time to like pull back and get into kind of like a calmer, safer type of environment as much as possible. And then just do your best to kind of support your energy system while you're going through that ascension. This is finding the balance in chaos. This is more like when shit's blowing up around you, or like when, people are, you're starting to walk a different path and people are judging you and you do it anyways and you find your groundedness and you're being true to you and you're doing your own thing. And then, haters gonna hate, people are gonna talk. It is what it is. You know what I mean? So it's kind of just, let it bounce off. It's not as much about you as it is about them and their own perspective and everything else. And just really kind of getting used to that. Used to kind of irritating people's inner stuff. So that could be something that's going on here. So you could be having soul purpose activated. That's kind of what's coming through here. And then we've got clarity and mountain. So there's a groundedness with this energy as well. And then clarity. Maybe you're getting clarity on something that you're really passionate about. Maybe you're being asked to go get clarity. That's an interesting one. Okay. Um, Yeah, I don't really know what that means. Maybe you're being asked to go get clarity on something that you're passionate about. Take some action towards it. Yeah, okay. So there's an advantage to looking at things from a higher perspective. You are too close to something to see it properly and clearly. Take the high road. Look at the big picture. Are you making too big of a deal of something? Okay, so this is where I call it zooming out. So this is where it's like zoom out for a minute. Look at it, from a different perspective to kind of see things a little bit clearer. For some of you, there's something here where it's like you're being asked to take a certain action, and that's what's going to provide this clarity. That's what's going to help with the perspective shift. So I don't know what that's about, but take it as it resonates. Because I don't feel like that's for everybody. But if that's for you, you're gonna know. Like what you're being guided to take action towards. That's going to provide you clarity. What? Hey, I get to learn a new word today. Okay. We've got motion, growth, and I don't even know the fuck to say it. Did facin. Hmm, interesting. That's fun. I don't normally come across a whole lot of words with my decks over here that I don't know. So we get to learn something today. Okay, with this motion card, the thing that's really standing out is we've got horses up here, and then I'm hearing like the year of the fire horse, which is what we're in if you're watching this as I post it. So there's something here that could be that action, right? You're being asked to get into that energy, like flow with the action energy and the fire horse energy that is already prevalent right now, and really kind of move into that energy and allow yourself to take that action and get some of that forward motion going. Um, and then growth, and then this is plants on here, and I'm getting plant medicine for some of you. So you could be working with plant medicine. Um, hmm, just a second. So the word on here, really kind of funny. It's fecundity. That's how you say it. I was having all sorts of fun pronunciations of this. It's really interesting. I've actually never heard of this word, but it's a biological word. And I'm laughing because I went to school for biology, but never encountered this one. It's the biological capacity and potential of an organism to produce offspring or the physical fruitfulness of the earth and nature. It measures an individual's or species' maximum reproductive rate under ideal conditions. So there's a lot of like the biological meanings, but it's more of the figurative that's coming through here. And so with that, it's richness of imagination, inventiveness, or creative output. And then it's also talking about abundance, a lush, rich quality in art, ideas, or land. Okay. So there's something here. This could be a soul purpose activation thing that's happening. Um, That absolutely could be what's happening. Um, that's, I'm on the wrong one. 35, 15. So I opened up, I thought it said 15. It's actually 35. When I opened it, it was actually on Earth, which is another grounded energy. So you could really be calling hold on. You could really be being called right now to ground your energy. Um, Okay, I'm being guided to talk about something. So this is an interesting thing. This is okay. So right now, a lot of typical grounding practices where you connect with the earth aren't providing the same sense of stability and security and groundedness that it has been known to give. And it's because Earth herself is going through an ascension. And so Earth's energies are a little chaotic at this moment. And it's one of those still put your feet on the planet and everything else. But if you're doing some of those things and you're not feeling the way you felt before, that can be what's going on. And so there's a way where you can pull your energy into your body and feel the connection to the earth, and then you feel the groundedness in your own body versus in the earth. And so like you're still connected to earth, you're still grounded to earth, but it's not, for a lot of us that are a little more energetically open and sensitive, it's not quite as like stable feeling to really just like go stand on earth. And of course there's going to be like, you go get in nature and you're going to feel a calm and all of this, but if it's not providing that really like almost instantaneous grounded secure energy, that could be what's going on. And so what you do is you can feel that sense of security and groundedness within your own body as you are feeling the connection to source, and then also simultaneously connecting with the earth. And so you're bringing in some of that stable energy through your own being because you're bringing in the stable energy of source, and then you're actually helping to anchor that in the earth. And so there's kind of like a weird shift kind of happening right now. And it's one of those like some of that stability energy is actually coming from a lot of us who are connecting consciously to source. and we're helping to create a little bit of that groundedness energy within Earth as well through this ascension. So it's kind of it's an interesting thing that's going on. I haven't sat with it like a whole lot to really like deep dive it, but that's something that's been coming up a lot over the past like month or two. Just in general, like the Earth is going through, we've got Schumann resonance spikes like crazy and so on and so forth. And so like there's a lot going on like with Earth as a planet energetically going through like the shift. And so it's one of those that's where you can find that groundedness within your own being. And so just a little side note caveat, if you've been kind of struggling with that, that could be part of what's going on. So there's other ways you can feel that grounded energy without it coming straight from and of course there's still going to be a groundedness feeling when you put your bare feet on the earth. It just might not be as like instantaneous grounding, calm energy, if that makes sense. Hopefully, I was able to articulate that clearly. Anyways, okay. So this is also okay, so it's talking about rain as well. So the conditions of greater prosperity are being met. Know that all will be well. Cleanse yourself of old, outdated views. You have everything you need to grow. Let yourself be cleansed. Okay, so yeah, there's cleansing, grounding, really maybe pulling, like really kind of centering your energy as best as possible, connecting to source, feeling that sense of stability in your own being. And then there's also this thing of like following your heart in those passions. And then yeah, you're going through a growth phase. And then things are in motion. And I'm hearing things are in motion in the background. And then there's also this energy of like getting into motion in a directed way. Okay. So with this growth card, it's talking about magic being in everyday things. You can make something from nothing blossom. It is time. From small things, big things might grow. And it's talking about beginning, like starting, like getting going. Yeah. And then we've got this motion card over here. So there is something here. It's like there's a seed that you have that you're asking. It's interesting 'cause it's not really that you're being asked to like plant the seed. It's more of like you have a seed of knowing within you and you're being asked to do something with it. You're being asked to take grounded action. And that's and it could have to do with soul purpose. It could have to do with a lot of things. Um Soul purpose is coming up because of this passion card, but there's so many other things that your passions are going to call you towards. It's going to be different people, it's going to be different locations, different experiences. Um Okay, yeah, I'm not getting any specifics. So we shall see. Motion. Be flexible yet grounded with the grounding energy. Allow yourself free thought. Move and choose. Find your freedom. Use your voice resourcefully. Stand up for what you believe in and be mindful of the way you communicate. So, so we've got communication energy out here. So it's like groundedness, direction, perspective, communication, and then that motion, that action, and then also the abundance is really coming throughout this card. So it's like there's something here where it's like tied to your abundance as well. um okay, yeah, please, that one maybe. Oh, okay, we'll get three more. All right, so we've got, oh, interesting. So we've got the sun and the moon that came out back to back in light and darkness. So there's a sense of balancing here. And that was, to make equal. There's a sense of balance in this. So it's balancing the light and the dark aspects of the self. And then there's also something here about, for some of you, this could have to do with an external person. Um, Yeah, I'm getting like a counterpart kind of energy. It's that balanced yin yang, masculine, feminine energy, and so it's balancing that within, and then finding that balance with another person. Okay, I'm getting an interesting message. For some of you, you are learning and continuing to evolve in your sense of groundedness and stability so that you can provide that in like a relationship. So you could be a masculine because that's a very masculine uh you know that's the masculine polarity is that grounded, stable, containment, direction, that kind of thing. So that could be something you are focused on is harnessing this energy within yourself first so that you can provide it to an external person at some point. For some of you, For some of you, it's interesting because I'm getting that's like you already have that within you, but you're doubting it. And so it's like you already have that ability. And the thing is when you align, this is very specific. So this is not going to be for everybody. When you align with somebody who's in the other polarity, it's going to strengthen you in your polarity, and then it's going to strengthen them in theirs. So it's going to just it works in harmony and balance with each other. And so that could be something too is you're like, well, I don't really know if I'm ready. I just heard I don't know if I'm ready to contain a divine feminine, basically. um and the thing is it's one of those, you wouldn't be you wouldn't be being pushed to take action if you weren't ready. So just remember that. And it's one of those like you're not going to be completely perfectly ready, because the ego is going to come up and tell you all the reasons why you're still not ready. The mind is those anxious thoughts, those fearful thoughts are going to continuously tell you all the reasons why you're not ready. And it's a perfectionist thing, right? So it's like, well, this needs to be done first, and that needs to be done first, and then you hit those two things, and then oh well, now we need to do this, and then you hit that. Oh, now we need to do that. And it's that sense of like, one, it's never done, and it's a process, and you're walking a journey. And so the thing is if you are resonating with this and you are a divine masculine, you're being pushed towards your feminine right now, you're ready for it, and you already have what it takes to contain your feminine in the energy your feminine is in, and then you two coming together in the physical will just continuously pull that even more elevated version of each other out when you are, in alignment and walking together on the path in the physical realm. So it's like you've already energetically been doing that to each other and pulling each other into the polarities. And there's a sense of doing your own inner work and balancing those energies within first, of course. And then you get to a certain point where it's like, okay, you're actually ready, even though you might not feel like it or you might not think you are. And that's the big thing. If you tap down into your knowing, you're going to know that you're ready. But when your mind takes over, it gets really loud and it's going to tell you all these creative, crafty reasons why you're not ready, why it's not now, why it's blah, 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 blah. And so it's understanding that that is not going to stop. And so at some point, you're gonna kind of just have to get to the point where you're like, okay, I'm ready enough because I'm getting the signs, I'm getting the synchronicities. I know that it's time. If I tap into my knowing, if I get into my grounded, stable energy, and I listen to my feminine energy where I'm receiving divine guidance and I'm listening to my intuition is telling me to go. And then my mind is talking me out of it. And so it's just understanding kind of what's happening. So it's very, very, again, that's going to be a very specific message. Ultimately, what this is really talking about though is finding that balance energy within yourself. So it's finding that balance between your light and dark sides, right? Integrating the shadow, all of those things. And then also finding that balance of that internal masculine and feminine energy. And so it's knowing when certain energies are being called forth. So when are you being called to be in your receptive energy? When are you being called to be in your output energy? Um, and bouncing back and forth between those two as necessary. And also knowing like sometimes you can be in your open input energy where you're receiving, and then you'll get around certain people, or you'll go out and do certain things, and then pull into your masculine energy, and then you go do those things, and then you're, doing your output stuff, and then you do your input stuff. Like, so it's back and forth. It's back and forth. And that's that balance. That's that harmony. And so you could be learning how to navigate back and forth in those energies, and then also simultaneously listening to what's coming up for you, because we have core wounds that affect our ability to actually be in those energies. And so this can break down. Ultimately, it's normally a mother wound and a father wound. Most people have some sort of mother wound and father wound. It's not saying it's not putting blame on your parents and being a victim and all of that. And yeah, that's different. That's a different type of healing where you go through all that process. What this is saying, what is my relationship with receiving? That's tied to your mother wound. What is my relationship with giving? That's your father wound. And so when you are having trouble giving, tap into that and really, is there something here I'm being asked to look at? When you're having trouble receiving, tap in. Is there something I'm being asked to look at? And it's ultimately like you can heal these wounds without reliving your past as well. And so, that could be stuff that you're kind of consciously working on and like fully moving through, is really releasing and healing some of these really deep-seated wounds that are connected to the divine masculine and divine feminine energies. And then in that balanced state within, then you can align with somebody in that opposite polarity and then have a balanced bigger whole. So it's two wholes coming together to create a bigger whole. And then so you're more in balance. And so that could be something you're really focused on right now, is getting that balance internally, finding that balance in your life. And then ideally, probably, because I'm getting like a romantic kind of energy here a little bit, it could be also then opening up to finding that balance with another person. Um, and then there's also something here too where, okay, never mind. I just got cut off by spirit. That happens. It's gonna go on a whole little tangent, but I got told not for this one. Okay. So then we've got completion. And I'm seeing, okay, this is really interesting. I'm seeing a puzzle piece on here. And it's like there's something here where it's like the missing puzzle piece. And it's coming in to completion. And so that's the thing too, where for some of you, this could be another person. But this could be something like, soul purpose, and then finding that sense of purpose and fulfillment. And that's the completion part of the puzzle. For some of you, it could be another person, because I'm getting this sense of like you aligning with another person at this point is going to just completely lock things in and just balance. And then it's like some of the things you're struggling with, your other person would be able to help you navigate a little bit. And then things that your person might struggle with, you would help them navigate, or it's that complementary energy. We all have strengths and weaknesses, it is what it is. And so it's like you and this person coming together, it's like the perfect fit, perfect match. And it's that the completion energy of like having that final puzzle piece fall into place. And then all of a sudden your life just reorients in a very harmonious, beautiful way. If it's not another person for you, this is something that you've been focused on, that is like a missing piece for you right now. And that is coming into completion. So that's where it's like there's motion in the background. The universe is handling a lot of this in the background. You're not seeing it. And it's bringing you into this energy where all of a sudden it's just like boom. There's a completion energy here. And so maybe it's like this final thing where all of a sudden you find internal balance, and then you're able to navigate life a little bit easier because you're flipping back and forth between your own polarities internally in a very fluid, natural way. When it's time for you to pull into your feminine energy and when it's time for you to pull into your masculine energy. Um, when it's safe to receive, and then when it's, time to kind of protect, and then when it's, time to give, and then when it's, but not over giving, right? So it's that balanced energy. Um, but there's a completion here. So it's like groundedness, stability, endurance, passion. There's definitely that passion energy here. So your heart's calling you to something. You've got this internal fire going on that's pulling you towards something right now. You're being magnetized to it. And the reason that happens is because it's in alignment for you. And so the universe is going to spark that internal fire that's going to continue to pull you towards whatever this is. Again, this could be so many different things. There's just a few specifics that are coming through, but take this as it resonates because this could be so many different areas. Maybe for some of you, it's multiple areas of life. Um, and that could be the thing here too that you're not seeing is like if you're being called towards one thing right now and you know what that is and you're being guided to take action on it, I'm getting this sense of like if that is the case, you're kind of holding yourself back because you don't feel like you're ready, but you are. And then the universe is like pushing you and pushing you and pushing you. And you're like, but I'm not ready. I'm not ready. And spirit's like, yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. Go, go, go. And then what you aren't fully seeing, and this could be part of this like zooming out from a different perspective and looking at it from this perspective is going, okay, when you take action on this thing and start moving towards what your heart is calling you towards, there's going to be completion in other areas of life as a result of it. And so it's kind of one of these things. It's like sometimes you'll be told to go right on the path when you think you should go left, and then spirit's like, no, go right. And you're like, that doesn't make any sense. I should go left first, then right. And spirit's like, trust me, go right first. And then you go right. And then all of a sudden, boom, 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 all these things fall into place. And you're like, oh shit. There was things going on I couldn't have even fathomed. There was, again, with perspective, like it's trusting and allowing that your higher self is guiding you because it has that higher perspective. The divine is leading you because it has that higher perspective. And so there is this energy of like completion in a big area of life. Maybe this is fully completing cycles and switching to your like dharma path where it's like everything starts going in your favor because you've learned all your lessons and you're ready and you're aligned. Something like that. It's like this really beautiful completion energy where there's also this spark coming back on. So that could be something here as well with this passion is like there's this completion energy coming for you, and then there's this spark being reignited within you to go towards something, and it's going to help you fully close out cycles. And it's not saying that this thing is going to actively assist you in closing out cycles, it's your energy going towards this thing. The byproduct of that, the result of that is going to be closing out different things. And it's like things that maybe you don't even know how you're going to navigate yet. You're like, well, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to get from here to here. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to get from this point to this point, but I know that's what I'm being called to do. And then it's like you take this step because this is something that you have right in front of you. You know what you're being called to do. You're just not allowing yourself to do it right now. And so it's one of these things like when you allow yourself to actually take this step in this direction, that is what is going to lead to this like this full like completion energy of a lot of other things. And then all of a sudden it might be like, oh, now this opportunity just came up and that's how I'm going to handle this other situation in life that's completely unrelated to the thing that I took action towards. And it's because it's a byproduct of what happens internally. And it could have to do with like that spark really reigniting that passion really coming online, something like that. But then also being able to contain that and have a grounded energy within yourself to contain it and then direct it in the way that you're being called to direct it. Um, okay. Okay. So I paused it really quick to see if we were gonna pull any more cards. And then I got a message here as well. So for some of you, if I'm getting, you're kind of in the midst of like it's not super foggy, but maybe you just don't fully see it clearly. It's like there's something that you're being asked to do, or there's something going on in life where you don't have the clarity on it. And you can attempt to do your best to zoom out and look at it from different perspectives. And that's always, I always would recommend that because sometimes you can come into clarity just by doing that, by looking at it from different perspectives and kind of flipping it on its head and don't like emotionally charge it, just kind of take a step back emotionally and then kind of look at it from more of that logical place of like, okay, from this perspective, it's this, from this perspective, it's that. So you kind of, transcend it a little bit and zoom out and look at it from a different perspective. Um, there's something here too for some of you, the clarity is going to fully come as a byproduct of taking this action towards your passion. So whatever your heart is calling you towards right now that you know brings you a sense of completion. You know this thing that you're being asked to take action towards is it's like the perfect puzzle piece for your life. For some of you it's like that final piece. And for others of you it's just like it's the next thing that makes sense, like the next piece of the puzzle that just aligns perfectly and makes sense and is alignment for where you see your life going. So it's going to vary. That the thing is for some of you, you're not going to fully get clarity entirely until you're like holding whatever this is, like until you take action towards this and you're actually, it's in your physical reality. And then all of a sudden, like once I'm seeing like once you've got your hands on it, or like it's in your physical reality almost. It's like you take action towards it and then that anchors it in and then all of a sudden this puzzle piece clicks into place and then you get clarity on the bigger picture. So it's like when you're putting a puzzle together, you don't see the whole picture until you get certain pieces and then you're like, "Oh, that's this." And of course, like most of the time you're looking at the actual picture, but on the actual puzzle, it's just random pieces that are all putting together and then you get a certain amount in of that puzzle and then it takes shape. It makes sense. And so there's something here where it's like this is a puzzle piece that's going to make a lot of things completely clear. It's like it's gonna provide you a bigger picture on just like your life in a way. Like this is pretty profound. And that could be, I'm getting kind of like this sense of like, yeah, because ultimately when there's this huge call to get grounded, it can be because you're stuck in your head a lot and kind of like scattered and a lot of thoughts, a lot of anxious thoughts, a lot of fearful thoughts, a lot of, you're being pulled in multiple directions, things like that. And so this is where it's like you pull in, you ground your energy, and then you do this thing, and then things all of a sudden become really, really clear. And then it's like that is gonna give you this sense of like stable, grounded direction just in life in general. So, yeah, ultimately it's a beautiful energy. It's just it's like I'm feeling a little bit of the anxiety here. Um, and the thing is too is like you've got abundance in your energy, so this does have to do with you leveling up, with you expanding in a really profound way. So this could be a life-changing decision that you're about to make because I'm feeling this like hesitancy. I'm feeling this like, it's like, "Ooh, it's a big, you know, it's a big thing." So whatever your passions are calling you towards right now, your heart center and that passion, that internal fire is calling you to something, and you know what that is. And then there's just like a lot wrapped up into this. And it could be because for some of you, it's like it's the final piece and you know it's perfect for you in your life. And there's a part of you that knows that you're perfect for this as well. Like it's perfectly aligned. It just makes so much sense. And then it's like that feels so big. So it's one of those like that fear's going to kick in, right? So that's, it's just it's normal and that's okay. It's just what you do with it that is going to determine if you actually allow yourself to feel the sense of completion and obtain this extra puzzle piece or not. And so it's one of those like remember, fear is false evidence appearing real. So you can tap into fear, you can tap into faith. It's two sides of the same coin. Which one are you going to focus on and allow, to dictate your life ultimately? So it's one of those like, are you going to allow yourself to continue to expand and take some kind of scary steps on the path? And sometimes it's going to be leaping off the edge of a cliff, not literally, and hoping that the divine fucking catches you. And guess what? When you leap, when the divine tells you to leap, the divine always catches you. So just know that. And that's where having faith in the journey, in yourself, and so on and so forth, that's where that comes in. So it's ultimately like yeah, you're being called to do something. I'm not getting details on it for everybody. So it's like, whatever this is, you know what this is. You're being guided to kind of get into that energy, that action oriented energy, and take some steps towards what this is. Some of you, it's going to be a full-blown leap of faith, and you're just hoping for the best. And but you're leaping with the divine, so it's all going to be good. It's all working out for you. Remember that. And the divine tells you to leap, it's for a greater reason. It's for your highest good, always. And so just remember that as well. Like, this is something that is in alignment with you. And there's a part of you that knows that, and then there's a part of you that's a little bit worried that it's not. So, but it is your missing puzzle piece. That's the thing. It's like, that this is your missing puzzle piece. And so that could be part of the reason where it's like, okay, get grounded, get stable in your own energy, get secure in your own energy, to the best of your ability. And then, sometimes it's a fake it till you make it kind of thing where you fucking do it anyways. And then, things work out. And then you're like, okay, whew, whew, oh, I was not fucking sure about that one. And sometimes it's just leaping and just, surrendering and just like, all right, spirit, fuck, I'm leaping. Hope you're right, 'cause it's gonna hurt like a son of a bitch if not. And then you're like, oh, I landed upon a cloud. It's all good. So it's kind of that energy. So just know that when you leap with the divine is gonna catch you. So yeah. Alrighty dokie. Well, with that, I'm gonna leave this here. I hope this resonates. Yeah, this was a very interesting reading. You got this. So keep doing it, keep going, keep balancing those internal aspects. Definitely get grounded. That was a huge theme in this one. And understand that if you aren't having clarity right now and you're attempting to change your perspective and so on and so forth, and the clarity isn't coming, sometimes the clarity is hindsight. So sometimes it's you take this leap and you aren't sure how it's going to go, what's going to happen, so on and so forth. You take this leap and then all of a sudden things start to click into place, and then you look back and you're like, fuck. And then you get the clarity. And then I just heard something like at that point where you look back, it's one of those like, why didn't I do this sooner? And so that could be something, and it's just funny how it works, because we get stuck up in our heads so much, and then we fight up against it. We put so much resistance against what the divine is pushing us to do. And then once we're finally like, fine, what, like you're fighting the fucking divine, you're pushing up against your own higher self ultimately. And so you're just making it more uncomfortable for your human self. And so when you get to the point where you're like, okay, fine, like I'm listening. And then all of a sudden you release that resistance and you allow yourself to do the thing and flow with it, then you're like, fuck, dude. Why did I fight it for so damn long? Because this was perfect, as it always is. This was for my highest good, as it always is. Like, so this could be one of those situations where you're gonna leap and it's gonna scare the ever loving shit out of you. And all of that shit is gonna come to the surface: fear, anxious thoughts, all the things. And then you say, fuck it, and you do it anyways. And then all of a sudden you get to that other point, and you're caught by the divine. It's the missing puzzle piece, and then boom, here comes the clarity. And then you're looking back and you're like, oh, oh, my human self didn't see it clearly. Surely did not. Like, and again, no judgment. I do this shit all the time. So, no judgment at all. It's just learn from my fucking experience of fighting the divine tooth and nail on certain shit. And it just prolongs it. It's like the divine is attempting to deliver you some beautiful things, and you're aligning with some beautiful things. And then the more you fight against it, the longer you're prolonging receiving your blessings ultimately. So just note that part too. Personal experience over here. Anyhow, for real, I'm gonna leave this here. So I hope this helps. You got this ultimately, remember, you got this. All right. Well, feel free to let me know in the comments below if this resonates. I would love to talk to you about it. You can also hit that like button. It does help out the channel, so thank you. And if you'd like to see more from me, you can hit subscribe. It is free. I will see you on the next message. Bye.